Welcome back guys. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle received a new update just a few days ago in the form of version 3. It added support for DLSS 4. RTX 50 series GPU owners can now access multi-frame generation 3 times or 4 times technique. Every RTX GPU owner has access to DLAA and DLSS version 4 in this game. It's the same thing for ray reconstruction. The update also includes a new option for ray trace shadows to include all light sources, which significantly increases the quality of shadows in interior locations. Full path tracing support has been added for AMD and Intel GPUs. Developers recommend at least 16 GB of VRAM. Oh my god, this is insane. FSR 3.1 frame generation support has been added. Unfortunately, FSR upscaler is not decoupled from frame generation. This means whenever we enable FSR frame generation, we are forced to use FSR upscaler, and this upscaler produces a lot of texture shimmering in this game. I will highlight this problem in the video. XeSS version 1.4 support has also been added. It's actually version 2. To be honest, I have no idea what the latest version of XeSS upscaler is actually called. This update also includes tons of quality of life changes. Before jumping into the gameplay, I would like to thank keymailer and Xbox for providing me with a free monthly subscription of PC Gamepass. This subscription gives us access to hundreds of games. We can play these games for as long as we want until our subscription expires. We also get a small discount on some games being sold on Microsoft Store. Even EA Play membership is included with PC Gamepass. In India, Microsoft even supports UPI mode of payment. Now with Update 3 installed and Mod FSR frame generation enabled, a lot of graphical artifacts were produced, textures were flickering. Good thing is that Nukem9 has already fixed this problem and updated their mod. The latest version is build 0.122. I'll show you the mod setup process in this video. First I'll run the vanilla version of the game, no mods installed. Now when I had RTSS and MSI Afterburner running in the background, this game crashed when I enable FSR frame generation. So if the same thing happens in your case, just disable Afterburner or RTSS. I'll use Nvidia's performance overlay to show you the performance metrics. Launch the game. First I'll test the game with its official DLSS upscaler implementation. My PC has a Ryzen 5700X 3D processor and an RTX 2070 Super GPU. Display mode borderless windowed, Full HD resolution. In-game VSYNC off, I have enabled it from Nvidia control panel, FPS limit 1000. Motion blur, chromatic aberration and film grain disabled, sharpening level 20. Depth of field disabled as well. This game consumes a lot of VRAM and my GPU only has 8 GB of physical memory available. If I set the texture pool size to anything higher than low, game's VRAM usage exceeds 8 GB. Then the game runs like a slideshow. I'll stick with low setting for texture pool size. Medium to high preset for the remaining settings. Motion blur quality low, hair quality medium, vegetation animation quality set to ultra, upscaler set to DLSS using its quality preset. That's it. I'm in the city of Vatican. Here FPS is close to 80. Check out the DLSS debug overlay in the bottom left corner. Model preset used here is J, it's not K. Model preset J is a bit outdated now. Auto exposure setting is disabled as well. This setting helps in reducing ghosting around the objects in the environment and also helps in reducing the shimmering effect produced by shiny objects. So I'll be using DLSS tweaks to enable auto exposure setting. We'll also update the model preset to K. Just observe these windows in the background. Balcony railing. There is some texture shimmering produced around these fine textures, the railing. No shimmering effect produced around the windows. Image quality is looking very sharp. Okay, I'll just switch to FSR upscaler now. Upscaling set to FSR. Now I have access to frame generation. I'll disable it for the time being. Back to the game. You just observe these windows now. They are producing texture shimmering effect. And I'm not even moving, standing still. Most of the windows are producing this effect, even this one. And look at the balcony fence here. Again, ugly texture shimmering effect is produced. So I would not recommend using FSR upscaler in this game. Oh no, by mistake I attacked this guy. 80 to 90 FPS है without frame generation. Just enable it. I just restarted the game to apply the frame generation setting. Sometimes the smoothing effect does not work without restarting the game. It's the same location. Yeah, FPS increased to around 140, 130 to 140. Can observe the added amount of smoothness. So it's working properly. Ugly texture shimmering is produced around the game world, and I cannot switch to DLSS upscaler with FSR frame generation on. Official FSR frame generation implementation gets disabled during cutscenes. Now I'll install Nukem9 Mod. Before installing Nukem9 Mod, just make sure FSR frame generation is disabled. Otherwise the game will crash when you switch from FSR frame generation to mod FSR frame generation. Also change the upscaler to DLSS. Nukem9 Mod works only on RTX GPUs. I'll be using its latest version, build 0.122 universal version. You can download it for free from Nexus Mods website. You just need to have a free Nexus Mods account in order to download any stuff from here. Click on manual download under universal. Then click on slow download. Download will start. DLSSTweaks can also be downloaded from Nexus Mods website. I'll give its link in the description. Click on files here and download the latest version of DLSSTweaks 0.31 0.0.1. Click on manual download here. Then click on slow download. First uninstall Nukem9 Mod. Open the mods archive file. Open DLL_DBG help folder. Just copy these two DLL files. DBG help and DLSSG to FSR 3 AMD is better. Just need to paste them in the games installed directory. Open Xbox PC app. Click on my library. Select the game. Click on the three dots here. Click on manage. Click on files. Click on browse. Open the games install folder. Open content folder. Paste the mod files here. Now I'll install DLSSTweaks. Open its archive file. Copy the highlighted files, 3 of them. Need to paste them in the same directory where we pasted Nukem9's mod files, right here. Change the name of this nvngx.dll file to txti.dll. Now run DLSSTweaks config.exe file. More info. Run anyway. We just need to set the model preset to K for the upscaler's quality level that we will be using in the game. I'll be using DLSS upscaler's quality mode. So scroll down a bit until you find DLSS preset section. Click on the drop down bar next to quality and select K. If you want to use DLA, just click on the drop down bar next to DLA, then select the model preset to K. It's entirely up to you. I'll also enable override auto exposure setting. It's under DLSS section. Click on the drop down bar next to it and select force enable. In order to enable DLSS debug overlay, you just need to force enable override DLSS HUD setting. Drop down bar, force enable. That's it. Click on save here. We are done. Make sure hardware accelerated GPU scheduling setting is enabled. Right click anywhere on your PC, click on display settings, then click on graphics. Click on advanced graphics settings. Enable hardware accelerated GPU scheduling setting from here. If your monitor supports VRR, enable the setting as well. Now I'll enable VSYNC from Nvidia control panel. Just click on manage 3D settings here, then click on program settings. From this drop down bar, select Indiana Jones, scroll down to the end, enable VSYNC from here. My monitor is G-Sync compatible. I'll enable the corresponding settings for it. Click on setup G-Sync here. Enable the following settings. Enable G-Sync compatible. Enable for full screen mode. Enable settings for selected display model. Apply the changes. I'll also enable G-Sync indicator. This is optional. Click on display here. Then click on G-Sync compatible indicator. We are ready to run the game. With Nukem9 Mod installed, you can actually use MSI Afterburner or RTSS. We are in video settings. Same as before. We should have access to DLSS frame generation setting now. There you go, 2 times. I am in the city of Vatican. Yeah, here VRAM usage is close to 7900 MB. I can observe the right amount of smoothness. FPS increased to around 125. The game's HUD elements are not flickering. Even the subtitles are not flickering. I'll just equip an item. No artifacts are produced around the equipped item. Only the DLSS debug overlay is flickering. As expected, the overlay is not a part of the game's interface. So after verifying the upscaler's detail, you can disable it via DLSSTweaks. Model preset used is K. Base resolution 720p upscale to Full HD resolution. Auto exposure setting is enabled as well. Look at the windows now. They are not producing that texture shimmering effect. Everything is looking so sharp. The fine textures of the windows. Game does not exhibit traversal stutters, but there is always a hitch whenever we trigger a checkpoint. Just running around. Okay, I'll just engage in combat. FPS mostly stays above 100. Whack these guys.
I think the odds are in your favor.
Not observing any latency. Reflex is doing a good job of keeping the latency in check. Just to be clear, Nvidia Reflex is not compatible with official FSR frame generation implementation, but it does work with Nukem9's mod. I'll load another area. Before that, I'll just disable DLSS debug overlay. Just run DLSSTweaks config.txt file. Set override DLSS HUD to default. Click on save. We are done here. This is the game's opening sequence that takes place in Peru. Here FPS is within a range of 120 to 130 compared to Vatican, observing a lower VRAM usage here, 7.4 GB. CPU usage dropped as well. Now I ran into one problem with the mod install. If you try to skip a cutscene right at its start, skipping it immediately, sometimes FSR frame generation smoothing effect does not get enabled until we restart the game. So I would recommend watching the entire cutscene with mod FSR frame generation on, or just skip it after about 10 to 15 seconds. I'll just trigger a cutscene. Frame generation smoothing effect will get disabled. Same thing happens in the case of official FSR frame generation. Yeah, FPS dropped to 60. I'm not going to skip this cutscene immediately. Wait for about 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, now I'll skip it. Hopefully FSR frame generation smoothing effect will work. Skip. Yeah, it's still working. So as always, very good results with Nukem9 mod. We were able to combine DLSS4 upscaler with FSR 3.1 frame generation. No significant graphical artifacts produced. Helped in considerably reducing texture shimmering effect that was produced by FSR upscaler. That's it for the video guys. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.